Okay, so we are going to create a sci-fi crate today. I'm pretty sure my audio is working. Let me know if you can't hear me. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so I'm going to look at some references. And just kind of get an idea. Alright. I think I got a pretty good idea of how we're going to start this. So I'm not going to be using any add-ons. It's all going to be using the default add-on, bool tool add-on. So let's enable that. And I'm just generally going to be walking you through how I do this. It might take around, let's say, 2 hours, but I can't be sure, especially when I start adding some of the details in. So we'll see how this goes. So let's keep the cube. Scale it on the Y. And before we do anything, I'm going to add a bevel. Okay, and I'm going to apply the scale. I'm going to put 4 segments, and I'm going to be trying to do this all non-destructively, because if you want to change something later, you can always do that. If you do it destructively, you can't. So I generally try to start out all my work non-destructively and only go destructive when I have to. And I'm going to show you what an example of destructive versus non-destructive modeling is. So let's grab another cube and let's apply a bevel with the modifier. Let's put, I don't know, 3 segments. And now we apply it. There we go. But we can't undo that. But with this one, if we don't apply the modifiers, we could just simply we can just disable the modifier and you get your cube back. So with this, there's no way to go back. So I'm only going to go destructive when it's absolutely needed. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's get back to the sci-fi crate. And shade smooth. Let's use auto smooth. And I'm not too happy with the shading, especially here, so I'm going to check that icon and that should fix it for the most part. And sometimes with the bevel modifier you can get away without using auto smooth. And sometimes I found auto smooth even makes it look worse sometimes when you use a lot of bevels. But in this case, so far, I'm going to leave auto smooth enabled. Let's put the angle to 60. And this should all be good. 4 segments. Okay, so let's start out with the crate here. Let me take another look at the reference, and so far what I think I'm going to do is scale it on the Z. Gotta always apply the scale. Pull the bevel down just a little bit. And before I do anything else, I also am going to add some geometry. a loop cut here, and I'm going to select these vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. And, well, I actually don't want to do that because that's destructive. So let's add another bevel modifier and do it non-destructively. And so we're going to call this main bevel, or no, edge bevel. And this will be the bevel that comes after all the boolean operations. So just bevel. I'll leave it as bevel. Limit method vertex group for the first one, and we're going to add these 4. Let's just disable that temporarily. Okay, and we're going to add these 4 edges to a vertex group. Assign, and then we're going to find that vertex group, and then we can hopefully get this working. Let's see what's going on. There we go. We just had to enable the second bevel, and then seems like I don't want it to do that on the top. Oh, well, I think I gotta remove everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, assign. And let's try that again. For some reason it's not. Oh. It's getting these edges too, and I don't want them to get beveled. Actually, we could do this without using... This way is actually harder, so I'm not really sure how to fix this. It could be a bug. It's only supposed to bevel... like if I disable that, it's only supposed to bevel it like this. But instead it seems like what it's doing is this, which I didn't want it to do, so I'm actually just going to use booleans to do that. Alright, so let's add another cube and rotate it on the Z, 45, grab it on the Z, grab it on the Y, scale it down. Just gonna cut out that corner. Make it as even as possible. And then I'm just gonna click this and then that. Control minus. Let's find good placement. Whoops. And there we go. That looks pretty good. We're just going to mirror that. Whoops. I'm not sure why that's happening. Could actually just mirror this box. But I don't really want to do that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know why I was doing that. That was weird, but it worked. And let's save it before we proceed. Call it Sci-fi crate. That actually looks pretty cool. But I want to keep it on the top, I think. And yeah. So let's see, we're going to do some more complex stuff for the top here. In fact, I'm going to scale it down a little bit, make it bigger. And we can also adjust some of this stuff. Of course, we gotta fix the mirror again, but that should be okay. So Control A, apply all scale. Try it again. Not sure why it's doing this. Oh, mirror object. Oh, I see what the problem is. I gotta go back. Okay. Just gonna fix this here. So okay, and that seems it's working on these sides, but I'm not sure why it won't go on these sides here. Gonna try to figure this out. Oh, I had to apply the scale. And let's pull that. Is that even? No, it's not. I think I'm gonna redo this. Alright, and that seems like this should work. And yes, it seems to be working. Does seem a little bit smaller on that side, but what I'm going to do is just apply the mirror and then just redo it. Shift D, grab X, RZ 180, grab Y, same thing. And now we can adjust both sides. And that's good. Okay. So I am going to do some more advanced stuff now. And I'm going to add 2 cubes. Scale it on the Y. Shift D. And I'm going to move them here, about there. And I'm also going to non-destructively, well, first of all, I'm going to join these. And then I'm going to select these 2 vertices and add them all to a group. Call it bevel group. Then add a bevel modifier. Of course, I can apply the scale and vertex group, bevel group. And it should bevel these edges. But it's not. I'm not sure why. Oh, I didn't assign them. There we go. And so with that done, we can also shade that smooth, apply auto smooth. So this is the cutter object. And change that angle up to 60. And we can let's take a look at the wireframe. We need more segments. And something like that looks pretty good. And there we go. You've always got to have to move up the boolean modifiers above the bevel, so the bevel comes after. And when you work with modifiers, it's very important to keep the stack in the right order. Otherwise, things will go very unexpectedly and won't work properly. So booleans always come before the bevel modifier. Usually, because sometimes you might apply a bevel modifier in the beginning and booleans can come after that, but for most of the time you always want the bevel to come after the boolean operations. So anyway, with this, something's not working right here, and that's because the bevel modifier is basically beveling this again, so we're going to have to change the limit method to angle. And let's bring that to, let's leave it at 30, and that should fix the problem. So that looks pretty good. And we can always grab this down or pull or move it back up, but I'm going to leave it how it is. And I'm going to do something very cool here and add a loop cut. I'm just thinking, kind of making these concepts of how sci-fi crates would look, and I'm not really happy with that, so let's look at, I'm going to look at some more references. And I'm trying to kind of concept an idea basically. Okay, so I'm actually gonna move this down. And I'm gonna leave that one there for now. And what's nice about working non-destructively is you can always change things later. So I can always remove this if I don't like it. But what I'm gonna do is add in a cylinder. And I want to have a lot of resolution, so I'm going to add the segments all the way up to 96. Scale it down. And I'm going to use a union operation. And that will basically join the meshes together. So click this, click that, Control plus. And now it should be joined. But I always got to put the boolean above the bevel. And maybe I have to set this to smooth. And that looks great. And now I'm going to do another boolean operation. Another cylinder. And this time what I'm going to do is a very simple model. Inset, delete the faces, select both faces, and then bridge the edge loops. And I can just set that to smooth. Whoops, didn't want to do that. Nope. Apply the scale. And this doesn't have to look good, this piece, because this is just a cutter object. So I'm going to make it just add more detail with this. I want to do this. Control minus. And let's see. I gotta have to expand these faces, maybe scale it in a little bit, but I'm not sure why the shading is looking so bad. I'll figure it out though, but yeah, something's not working right. Maybe I have to turn the bevel width down. Nope, that's not it. Oh, this was the problem. The boolean, I forgot to put the boolean before the bevel. So that was the problem. There's still an issue there. Let's see. I'm not sure why the edges are visible like that a little bit. It's not super noticeable, but I think I can fix that. Sometimes just moving your boolean just a little bit helps. Or maybe my object needs a little bit of geometry. Seem to mitigate it a little bit. Yeah. It's not as noticeable, and I can also turn down the boolean size, or I could turn it up. Yeah. Doesn't seem as noticeable now, so that fixed that problem. And for the top, I just want to scale that so it's more like that. Actually, I'm going to do something entirely different. I'm going to actually, instead of doing it that way, I'm going to just add a cylinder and actually just cut into it like this, because I think the design will look better. Whoops. Okay. And but I'm going to actually pull it down enough so that it kind of forms, it's kind of forming like a lid. And you'll see why I do this in about a second. So I'm going to add another mesh, a cube, and I'm going to just merge these edges here. Alt M, at center, same thing here. And I'm going to grab these on the X. Inset. Extrude. And then we can just add, like, delete that, but I don't need this face. And I'm going to use this as a cutter. So let's just give that a bevel with enough segments and something like that. It looks good. Okay. And we're just gonna grab it right here and then put it in the mesh. But I don't really want that like this because it's not entirely realistic. But maybe it could work because perhaps it's a floating logo. Just playing with the bevel width here. And yeah, that actually looks pretty cool. And then I could also add, I'll actually do that later. I'm going to add some light beneath it. And I'm going to do some advanced designs now. Let's start beveling some of the edges and adding some faces here. So first of all, before anything, I'm going to add a cube. And let's do that. Nope. I'm going to bevel that. And okay, so we're going to do something called what's it called? Boolean. I think it's called boolean, and it's intersect. So basically, you cut into the object, but then you kind of add it back, and it splits the object. So you'll see what I mean. So I'm just going to shape it like that. And of course I can always add a little bit of a bevel. But I think it's fine how it is. And then I'll just Control minus. Now I'm going to select this object again, duplicate it, and then set that back up as intersect. And then move that to the above the bevel, and there we go. We got a kind of cut going on through the object, and that can always be moved. But I'm pretty happy with that. And why don't I add some small details now? Like on the corners. I'm going to do something like this. Local scale. Something like that looks pretty cool. And actually, let's just go a little crazy here, just to get some advanced details going on. Something like that I'm happy with, and we can always mirror that. That's working out well, and we got it mirrored to all four sides, and this is starting to look very good, but there is a lot more work to do. So let's start adding some stuff, some more details. And let me look at some more references to get an idea. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do next. I'm actually going to just scale everything up. Okay. Nope, I don't want to do that. I want to scale it, but not change the... I don't want to change the position of everything. So I think I gotta go back to global, and that fixes it. And let's just approximate putting this back at the origin. And since we're using the object, since we're using the object as a reference for the center point, it doesn't have to be exactly at the center for mirror to work correctly. So I'm not too concerned about that for now. And what I'm going to do is add a cube. And we're going to do this. Always apply the scale. And I'm going to make that a lot bigger. So you can see it's just a very iterative process, and you just generally add details where you think they look the best. And that actually looks pretty cool, but a little bit too harsh for now. I don't think I want it to go all the way down. Maybe like that looks good. And then what I can do is just duplicate that. And but yeah, I don't really want to duplicate it that far. Okay. Let's see what I can do. So I'm going to apply the mirror and actually adjust this one separately. And use it as a separate object. So cavity, I'm using the option cavity. It helps me see things better. But sometimes it doesn't look as nice. So, and if you look closely, there is some artifacts popping up, so you can just usually move it, and then they disappear. Little artifacts, so let's get that to go away. But we might also need to add more geometry. And that seemed to fix the problem. So this is starting to get a lot of detail in it. It's not nearly detailed enough. I'm going to add a lot more. So let's keep going. And let's see. So I'm going to add a cylinder, I think, and leave it as it is. I'm just going to affect the bottom piece that we did the intersect on. And yeah, I'm not really happy with that, so actually that looks nice, so I'm going to do the same thing here. And just move it down just a little bit. I'm going to leave it like that, I think. Sometimes adding too much geometry is not good. Okay, and that seems to be pretty good, and let's just duplicate that mirror and all right. Just looking at a couple of references. I think I have a good idea of what I'm going to do next. So Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a cube. And actually use the mesh as a cutter, but duplicate it first. And now I'm gonna scale it on the X. And you can see it kind of flows into the mesh. And this is very powerful and allows you to do very advanced things. So this is pretty much fully non-destructive, and you can see how powerful it is. And I'm gonna actually bevel this object. Always apply the scale. So this just shows how much power is in non-destructive modeling. And you can create extremely complicated geometry doing it this way. And what I'm going to do next is just start cutting into this panel we just created on the top. And we're going to move that to the top. But that can go all the way through. Getting a little bit of artifacts. Let's see why. Not sure if I want it to be like this or like that. I think that actually looks pretty cool. And I can just mirror that. Yeah, I like that. That looks cool. Can actually do that. Duplicate it and then do it again. Yeah, and this is starting to get very advanced. And let's hide some of these boolean objects since it's getting a little cluttered. And continue just basically cutting out portions of the mesh. Add a cube. Just kind of doing things that look pretty cool. And I'm actually going to make this one an intersect. Duplicate it again. Intersect. And I can just move it down just a tiny bit. Shade smooth, shade smooth. Okay. I'm going to mirror that. On the y-axis. Then we get the same effect over here. Maybe I'll just bring that up. And that looks pretty cool. A little bit of a shading problem here. But this option fixes that. And look at how much complexity we're getting, and I'm just going to continue basically cutting into portions of the mesh and just keep going. So let's do something here. Getting a problem here. There we go. And I'm just trying to add some complex details. Actually, I'm going to undo that. And before I do that, I'm just going to grab this side. And bring it to the left. And select both. And if I really want to create it fully non-destructively, I can just select these two edges, add a bevel modifier, and also vertex groups, assign these two to the group, then go to vertex group and select our group, and we're going to apply the scale. But for some reason, let's see, 6, yeah, it's beveling the wrong way. I'm gonna try it again, assign these two. Yeah, it's not working right. Not sure why, so I'm just going to do it the other way. Something like that. And then I think what I'm going to do is duplicate that with the mirror so we get it on the other side. Apply that, and then I have control over this one. I think I'm just going to do something sort of like this. but it's going to create a lot of problems with the shading. So maybe I have a little bit too much geometry. Nope. Deleting that edge seemed to help it a little bit. I'm actually going to delete that because the bevel's is too large, and I'm just going to redo that. And I'm going to do something different. Shade smooth. Yeah, and that looks pretty cool. But I think I'm going to just leave it a pure square. So again, I'm going to do this one more time and just leave it as a square. I'm going to separate it. Control minus. And there we go. Maybe I'll add something like this. Yeah. Actually, could make it even bigger. Something like that. And let's see if we can move this to a spot where we don't get artifacts. Right there. And okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So we're getting some good details here, but I still need to take it further. And I'm going to start working on this corner here. So I am going to add another cube. And that is way too much, so actually I don't really want to add it on that edge. Going to add it over here. Just basically a bevel on the corner. Or maybe not. Not really happy with it. Let's add it to this side. And that looks good. So this is where I think I'll add it. Right here. And maybe bring it down a little. And that's starting to look like a sci-fi crate. Got a little artifact. Let's get that fixed. Just like that. And this doesn't need to be so big. Let's just grab that in a little bit. And yeah. So just gonna keep going from there and do some more. I am gonna actually take this corner here and take this corner, and I'm going to try to add the bevel and see if that thing works with the vertex weight. And I'm going to set up the segments to be around 8, and I'm going to also try the vertex group thing, and hopefully it works. I'm going to make a new vertex group and only assign these vertices to this group, and yes, it seems to be working. That's what I wanted. And I can also change the offset. So this is just like a secondary bevel. And why didn't it... Oh, I forgot to select these and add them to the vertex group. And why don't we do the same for the bottom? Again, we have to add a bevel modifier, bring it all the way to the top, and set that to 8. This is fully non-destructive, by the way. All of this can be changed later. And then what do I do next? I go to vertex group, make a new group, assign, vertex group, and just make it about the same amount. Get rid of that artifact by adjusting things. Maybe turn off auto smooth. We don't need it right now. Actually, maybe we do, unless these options fix it, but they're not. So I think I better turn auto smooth back on. But just raise the angle, because we're getting a problem here. Or I could just leave auto smooth off for the bottom and leave it on for the top. And that generally looks fine. But I'm still having a shading problem here, so just gonna play with some settings. Maybe I'll add instead of using these settings, I'm going to add a new modifier called weighted normal. And that completely fixes the problem. No more shading artifacts whatsoever. So I'm going to do that for the top, and we probably won't even need the auto smooth. No, we do. Still need auto smooth. So I'm going to do the same for the bottom. Weighted normal. Yep, fixes everything. Alright, so we can proceed. And let's do something over here. So I'll add a cube. Let's do something to this piece. And we'll just bevel that. Something like that. Let's do that again and add a few more. And actually, just thought of something that would look nice. I'm going to do this twice. So I'm going to move that more. Or 3 times. So I'm going to add an array modifier. And just do something like a relative offset. And this is starting to really add some details. You could do something like that, but even that looks good. I think I'll leave it. Not sure if I want to go with this. Or just like that. I think I'll go like this. Yeah. This gives it a real sci-fi crate look. And can always add lights in there to make it glow. And I will be right back. Give me just about a minute. Okay, I'm back. Alright, so we're gonna do some more stuff here, and let's see. So I am gonna actually add another cube, and I'm gonna do something with these two right here. So I'm gonna just cut that again, and kind of line that up, I think, although yeah. I'm not really sure what I want to go with here. Thinking like that is actually looks nice, but I kind of want to leave that, and I think what I'll do instead is just do the whole thing and shorten it a little bit. Yeah, like that. And let's see, I'm going to do something more advanced here, so I'm going to add another cube. And I'm just going to make a kind of random design. Just in a random direction to kind of get some just random but a lot of cuts going into the mesh. Just adding some circuit-like details. And this is going to be very small. And shade smooth. Going to add that right here. Maybe scale it up a little bit. And I'm just going to find a spot where I'm happy with how this looks. Might be a little bit too complex overall, but I'm going to see. Where I'm happy with it. That looks great, actually. Just getting some random designs. And I'm actually going to Shift D and just intersect that. And then we can always move that down. 4 up. I'm going to leave it how it was. I'm going to change something here. I think I'm going to delete one of these parts. And I'm going to extend some of it to go to the very end. And that should also extend. But this part I'm not happy with, so I'm going to change it. And I'm going to wind up deleting these two faces. But I'm going to fill back in gonna fill. If there's a way to see this better, let's see. Solid. Gonna fix the geometry here of the cutter object, and I'm just gonna select these 4 edges. Whoops, I got a face here I don't want. Fill using F on my keyboard. Same thing here. And this should work. Yes, and it does. Put that back as bounds. Just seeing if I could get a different kind of shading, and maybe what I'll do is add some bevels to these. Yeah, kind of like that, and yeah, just gives it more of that sci-fi look. And I'm gonna do some more stuff here. So one more cube, well, a couple more cubes I'm gonna be adding, since this still has more work to do. And I'm gonna select these 2 edges, Control B. Duplicate that with mirror. And that's starting to look good. Yeah. Let's just see how that looks. We'll actually do that next. Okay, so we're going to add that back there. Shift D, apply the mirror. Grab X and boolean this and boolean that. But we are getting some really nasty shading on this piece. But all you need to do is just add a weighted normal. And that should fix it for the most part. But I am getting a little problem here, so I'm just going to move some things around, see if that fixes it. And yes, it does. Okay. Now I'm gonna create some more cubes, more details. And duplicate that again. No. Duplicate it, scale it up, but intersect this one by duplicating that and select intersect. Then always gotta move it above the bevel. But we are definitely getting some shading problems. And that's because we have to add them here too, above the bevel. But I'm not really happy. Actually, maybe this is all right. If I could get rid of the artifacts. Yes, just like that. And we will mirror this. Mirror that. And perfect. We can even take it a step further and do something like this. We can apply the scale. And let's start adding some details to the bottom and the top because we are lacking some. So, more cubes. And we can use an array. And we can possibly add 3. But I think I'd rather do it to the bottom. Yeah, definitely. Okay, and let's see if we can get that even. Like that, and then we'll mirror this before the array. Not bevel. Where is it? Mirror. Apply that, and let's adjust some things. And I'm just going to look at some more references. what to do next. Okay, I got a good idea. Alright, so this is going to be very cool. So I'm actually going to get some of these faces out of this cube. And you'll see what I mean. So I'm going to delete these two faces here. Grab this on the X, bevel all these edges, and then we're going to add a modifier called solidify. And you can also scale this on the Y, apply the scale, but in edit mode. Nope, but I don't want to affect the geometry, so I'm going to do this instead like this. Then use that as a cutter. And certainly getting some artifacts, but if I move it correctly, they should go away. I want to make it a little wider. But maybe this is fine. That actually looks good. Like that. And see how an intersect looks. I don't really want an intersect. Actually, maybe that's okay. Or not. I don't really want it, actually. So, I'm just going to delete that. And I'm going to make it thicker. And duplicate that. Move it on the X. Down here and cut into this. And this is certainly looking good. I'm actually really happy with this. So now we're getting a little bit of more details on the front and back, but we still need a little bit more. And I'm actually going to do something else, so let me just take another look at a couple more references. And I think I know what I'm going to do next, so I'm going to add another cube. And this kind of gets very funny after a while because you kind of just experiment and see what looks good and what doesn't. And you get to experiment using all these tools available. And I'm not sure if I want this. Can't decide. I think it's a little bit too much to do it all the way, so I'm going to do it more like that. But I'm going to try maybe shrinking it. Or making it larger. That doesn't look too bad, but not happy with where it is. That actually looks alright. Just subtle, but there. Nothing too extreme. But we'll have it go all the way through. Just to give a more complex mechanical look. And we'll also duplicate that with mirror. And mirror it over. Apply the modifier. Can undo that. I'm not sure what went wrong there. Oh, I had both axes checked. Okay. That's better. Alright. So I want to do something on the top and sides, but I can't decide what. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually duplicate this, apply every single modifier except the bevel, but this bevel I'm going to apply. Delete that bevel, and now this, you may think it's destructive, but I'm actually going to take faces from it, kind of like what we did with the cube earlier, so it's actually non-destructive. And what I'm going to do is just grab some of these faces, inset them, and this is extremely powerful what I'm doing right now. So I'm going to duplicate this. So I got these faces, we don't need this object anymore. So I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to take these faces, select them all, extrude, and then now we can use that as a cutter. Okay, why do I have this triangle? I don't need that. But let's get that back into position. And now we kind of got this going on. But why won't the bevel modifier work? Let's see what's going on. I'm gonna do that again. I think something went wrong. Okay, so duplicate that. Only apply the bevel in the beginning. Delete this bevel. We don't need the weighted normal for this. Oh, I know why it's not working, I think. Okay, we'll see if I'm right. Might need to be shaded smooth. Okay. Inset. Nope. Didn't work right. Gotta apply the scale. Alright. And now shade that smooth. That was the problem. It had to be shaded smooth. And now, if everything's working, we should get a successful result. Yeah, nope. So, what's going on is we're having problems, but I'm gonna just tweak the geometry, because I don't want to really get that curve. Let's move that side in. Don't know what's going on. I think that edge was causing a problem. Nope. Seems like the bevel's not working. Not exactly sure why. Even if I do it somewhere else, something's wrong with the topology. I'll figure this out. Works fine here. Is the scale not applied? Maybe something's wrong with the topology. You know what? I'm gonna try it again one more time and see what's going on. So again, I think it's because there's too many vertices. That's gotta be the problem. So I'm going to have to do some mesh cleanup too. So let's try this again and duplicate it. And then we can just always apply the beginning one. Skip this bevel and apply the weighted normal. Something didn't go right again. What went wrong? That went wrong. Okay. There we go. All right. Just going to extract these faces. And this time I won't delete the mesh in case I need it again. And we're just going to go to clean up. Delete loose if there's anything mesh. Okay. Looks better than it did last time, but it's not beveling it. And the modifiers correct? Yes, they are. I think I just might need more geometry. That could be the problem. Nope, that made it worse. Maybe some here though. Nope, definitely not. Sometimes adding more geometry makes things worse. Maybe I need less. That's weird. Why is this duplicating itself? Huh. I think I know what's going on. Alright. Just gonna separate that part in case I need it later, but we're not going to have it invisible. I'll just have it solid. Okay, what is going on? Something odd is going on. Oh, I see. It's not selecting all the faces. Alright. And then we're gonna actually delete this one. Yeah, this has to definitely be fixed in Blender. Sometimes it doesn't always select your whole object, I noticed. And you have to do it multiple times. That's a bug. So let's separate that. And this doesn't even have to be anything. This could be solid. Yeah. Just put that out of the way. We don't need that. Yeah, it's not working right. Maybe it's the bevel weight. Nope. Anyway, I could just add some cuts here with the cube. I'm sure that will work fine. Yeah, that works. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. So I'm just gonna... Still the faces there? Geometry looks good. Maybe it's just too big and complicated of an object to cut in. That could be. Probably too complex. And it just breaks down. But I could do something else here. So maybe something like this. And then another cube. There's definitely some bugs in Blender that occur from time to time, and I'm not sure if it's a bug, but not really sure. But you just kind of gotta work around it. I'm gonna do an intersect. Like that. And see, too big. That looks good. Just some abstract details, sort of. And let's just do a few more things. I'm going to try face extract here on the small corner and see if we can get it working. Just one face I'm going to extract. Don't need that. Yeah, it never works. Even simple objects. How about I delete this complex face? That could be the problem. And just make it a square. Okay, and let's see what we get now. Seems like even this is sharp here. Even though I said it's smooth. Let's see what happens. Oh no, I already have it. Just need to make that bounce. Yeah, it's not working right. I think it's something to do with the weighted normal modifier. Definitely gonna have to investigate that. See what's going on. It's almost like I can't apply the smoothing. Like, I shade it smooth, but let's see, I'm gonna just try to add some normal data. Ah, that was the problem. The normals. It had some faces were being flipped, and the normals weren't acting correctly. So now everything should be working fine. So I could just actually... That makes complete sense. So let's just do that again, and this time not change anything. So I'm just gonna apply it all, except the bevel at the end. Skip that, and don't worry about that. And then grab it on the Y. And now we can duplicate this. Nope, actually inset. Just a little bit. And we have a little problem, which I could easily fix. Yep, and select that face. Duplicate it. And then we don't need this. And now extrude on the Y. We don't need that. And we don't need this. And before we do anything, we have to fix the normals, which I learned the hard way before. And now it should work. And it is working. Perfect. Everything's working fine now. And I could change some geometry here. Just to make it look cooler. Gonna fix some stuff here. Let's see, I don't want this edge. I'm just kind of modifying it. Kind of give a new look. Maybe something just with the bottom is better. Too much detail here, I think. Sometimes you don't want to just add random details, it doesn't look nice. Just gonna leave it like that. and then do it on the other side. And I don't really like that slope here, so I'm just gonna dissolve that and bring that up. That looks nice. And yeah, that's great. Alright. Let's do a few more things. We could actually do a face extract for the corners. I'll show you what I mean. Nope, don't want to do that. Gotta duplicate it first. Make sure you always duplicate first, because you don't want to permanently make this destructive. Okay, and we'll use that as a boolean, but first of all I'm gonna fix this here. Put it into place. And then I'm going to cut into it. Wow, that looks actually really nice. And we can also scale it up. And we can mirror this. And across the box. One more mirror. Maybe not. Maybe just for the front. Yeah. Maybe that's a little too much. That's a little better. And this is starting to look nice. There's one more thing I want to do before we start wrapping this up. Let's see, I'm looking at more references. Actually, I think this is pretty nice, and I think we can start on materials now, and that should not take too long. And I'm just going to use some procedural materials I've made. Let's get our scene set up. And for the mesh, before I do anything else, I want to add glow. And emission shader. Let's make it a pretty bright blue. Let's see. That needs to be a lot brighter. That looks cool. Let's see how yellow looks. Oh, I think I want it blue. And I could also add some lights to here. And use this or this to cut out this mesh. And we can make that glow yellow. So let's make that yellow and something like that. Or red, actually. Looks kind of cool. And now, let's apply some materials. Just gonna append some procedural ones from another project I have. And I created all these materials from scratch in the material nodes. They're all procedural, so I'll have courses coming out on YouTube for free on how to create some. And I'll have more non-destructive modeling, and I'll try to get out a few a week. So I'll have many more of these videos coming up. But anyway, no, not those materials. Okay, these ones. So I got a rust material, but I don't like that. Definitely not for this. Unless you're going for an industrial old look. But I could add that to some of the parts. That actually looks good. And it's got some nice scratches I added. And if you want to take a peek at the shading tree, the node tree, you'll see how complicated it is. Sort of complicated. But yeah, so I could change the color of that. Make it non-metallic if I want. Can even make it yellow. And let's see what kind of... I was looking at a lot of sci-fi crates online, and a lot of them have a yellow top. But I'm not sure I want to go for that. I think I'll go for the metal. Yeah. Make it a little rougher. Or maybe not. That actually looks good. At the bottom I can make it a completely different color. Like aluminum. Or something like that, which kind of looks cool. A little bit too much dirt on it, Let's dial that back. How do I do that? I forget how I set this up. Okay. Let's see. Yep, I have to bring that down. And that's about right. Want it more yellow. Kind of the look I'm going for, and I want to make this aluminum. And these parts can be rust. Although that doesn't really fit in. Just leave that as aluminum. That actually looks a little bit better. Okay, and I'm just making some decisions here to see what looks better. Can change that color. Something more like that, but I still want the yellow, so I'm going to leave that. And yeah, well, let me actually give this some procedural dirt quickly. So getting a different HDRI. Yeah, definitely changes the look a lot. Too much bloom. That's better. Now this one, I want to give it that texture, but make it brighter. It seems like I can't. Oh. There we go. And for this, let's take that up to pure silver or aluminum. And I think that looks great. So that is our sci-fi crate. Let's take a look at it in a few lighting conditions. Let's hide that. And yeah, this looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the result. Of course, we can always get our camera and get a fancy view angle. Something like this. And then we could always lower our focal distance. We can even go really far, but you gotta be careful, that's too much. You can get a view sort of like that. Maybe make the floor a little darker. More rough. Give it a slight of a bluish tint to make it more futuristic, but not too intense. And yeah, you can also add one more thing. Focal length. Where is the limits? There we go. And that is a very nice looking sci-fi crate. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to comment. You can comment, like the video, subscribe, and I will be making many more of these videos in the future. All these videos are free. I also have paid courses on Udemy, which is in the link in the description, and I sell these models on my TurboSquid and CG Trader accounts, where you can actually buy these models if you want them. And yeah, so again, I will be making many more of these tutorials in the future. If you want me to go faster, I could go faster. Slower, I could go slower. If you need anything explained in detail, I'll go more in detail. But yeah, I'm planning to get a few of these videos out a month, maybe even more. Maybe I could do two to three a week, I hope. We'll see. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video.